In this video, we go over how Erling Haaland could be absolutely amazing at Manchester City, going over the pros and the cons, as well as his statistics compared to his Bundesliga rivals and against all of the top strikers in the top 5 leagues. So make sure to stay tuned. What's up, guys, and welcome to FPL Today. What the flock is going on, and let's have a look at Erling Haaland and his potential in the Premier League and the Fantasy Premier League at Manchester City. And also, at the end of this video, we go over his stats in the top 5 leagues, so we get an idea of also how he could potentially do in the Champions League fantasy football game. So first off, we are starting on the screen with his stats compared to his Bundesliga Borussia Dortmund teammates. And as you can see, he did only actually play 24 games, which put him at 9th compared to his teammates in Borussia Dortmund. And his minutes were 7th at 1,911. However, as we can see, his goals were first at 22, second for assists, and he also got goals per 90 at 1.04, which put him second. Now, first was an outlier of a player that didn't actually play that much, but did do very well when he did play. So realistically, compared to first team starters, he was first for goals per 90. Assists per 90 at 0.38 put him second. Goals and assists per 90 put him at 1.41. Again, would have put him first if you don't count that outlier, but it's second on the screen. And first for shots and shots on target, 74 and 31 apiece. And key passes also at 24, which puts him at 6th. But more importantly, and I did say in the video where I talked about transfers into the Premier League so far, we would go over his stats compared to his Bundesliga rivals. And as you can see, there's less stats here, but that's because of the amount of games he played. He did fail to get into the top 6 for some stats compared to others because he just lacked those minutes. But he was third for goals with 22 goals behind Robert Lewandowski and I believe Patrick Schick. Goals per 90 was at 1.04, putting him second just behind Robert Lewandowski, and he was third for goals and assists. Goals and assists per 90, however, he was first at 1.41 above Lewandowski, and also first for penalty kicks taken and scored. 6 taken, 6 scored. Now, we all know Man City have had some issues with penalty takers, so potentially Erling Haaland could be the solution there. We then got non-penalty goals per 90 at 0.75, putting him third, and expected goals at 17.6, also putting him at third. But as you can see, his expected goals was massively outperformed by his actual goals scored at 22, and he is a player that regularly does this season in and season out. His expected goals per 90 is at 0.83, and his shots on target per 90 at 1.46, putting him 4th. With all that being said, there are some pros and cons to his play style for Man City and how he might do in the Premier League and the Champions League. But before we get into that, if you are enjoying this content and this deep dive into Erling Haaland, please do hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell and like the video, and get involved in the comments down below with your thoughts on Erling Haaland and his potential in the Premier League and Champions League with Man City. That being said, having a look at his play style, and you can do this by just going and watching plenty of tactical videos out there. I do like someone called Newman and Football Made Simple. Those are 2 channels that I often use to reference these sorts of things. Erling Haaland is a player that is very clinical in front of goal. That is something that Manchester City have been missing since Aguero has gone. And to be honest, I'm sure we've all been there. We've watched Man City. We've had a Man City asset, potentially Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne, plenty more, where we've been hopeful for a big haul. They've been getting in front of goal. They've been getting plenty of chances, and they've not quite been putting those chances away. And even though they should have got a haul of over 10 points, they actually didn't get anything. They blanked, and it can be quite infuriating. But with Erling Haaland, they've got someone that's very clinical with both his right and left foot. A lot has been said about how good he is in the air and how it's now a target for them in the box. While I do agree he's a target for the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and João Cancelo to hit in the box, I don't actually think he's that great aerially. He can improve that slightly, although he has scored some great aerial goals. I think consistently he's better with his feet than he is with his head. That being said, he does score goals that Man City creates. If you go and watch a Man City game, and I'm sure you all have, they like to overload in the channels and get players down the wing, and then they cross into the box low and across the goal or they cut back to a Man City player waiting to take a shot. Erling Haaland is good at both of these. He has a fantastic ability to either get to the back post to put an easy chance away, or to make a defender think he's going to the back post and then cut in front of them, beat them to the ball and score as well. That is something he is amazing at. He's also very fast and will be able to utilise space in behind for those big games against the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, and for those Champions League fantasy football players also in the Champions League. He won't always get that. A lot of teams will put a low block in against him, but his movement is very intelligent and he does have great lateral movement, which often creates some space for him to get into areas where he can score. With that being said, his pass completion isn't as good as most of the Manchester City players, and also his pressures aren't anywhere near as high as a lot of the Manchester City players either. Now, if you actually go and check him, he's not too far off of some players in the Man City side, but that being said, Man City generally have more possession than Borussia Dortmund do in games, so that is why they are slightly closer than it will actually be in real life. So that is something that potentially Pep Guardiola will work on. But with such a clinical striker, I can't see how, with the chances Man City create, he won't be getting goals. The question is how many goals, how successful will he be, and how quickly will he hit the ground running. And before we wrap up this video, let's just compare him to all of the players in the top 5 leagues that play up front. And as you can see, goals per 90 at 1.04 put him second out of all the strikers in the top 5 leagues. Also, goals and assists per 90 at 1.41 also puts him first. We've got non-penalty goals and assists per 90 at 1.13, putting him second, and expected goals per 90 at 0.83, also putting him second out of all of the players in the top 5 leagues. Now, there is something called the Premier League tax. Some people call it the Bundesliga tax, but I prefer to call it the Premier League tax because if you look statistically, most players when they move to the Premier League do have a drop off in stats. You've seen it in the likes of Jadon Sancho, but I'm sure there's plenty of other players, potentially Hakim Ziyech, that you just see come from another league, play in the Premier League, and their stats do not match what they put out in the league they came from. Now, Erling Haaland could drop off in stats, but as you can see, his stats are already so good, and after some time, he could adapt to the league and be just as good in the Premier League as he is in the Bundesliga. The question is, would I bring him into my side straight away? And to be honest, I like to start a bit safer than I do when I play near the end of the season, and I take a few more chances when I have more data to look at and play with, and also have watched more games. Erling Haaland could be a great success from the very start, but we all remember Timo Werner. I took a risk on him, and I imagine Erling Haaland's price will price me out of taking a risk on him at the beginning of the game. I'd much rather go for the likes of Mohamed Salah and Heung-min Son, who are a bit more known entities in the Premier League for me, and have just, of course, tied for the Golden Boot in the previous season. And Son seems to be a player that's going from strength to strength season upon season, so I do really like the idea of bringing Son in. And fixture-wise, Son actually works quite well for the start of the season as well. And I think potentially Conte is building something at Spurs that could see him be viable assets for me. That being said, Son's going to be expensive. Salah's going to be expensive as well, but I can't see FPL not putting Erling Haaland at an expensive price, and I think that will price me out of a move for him. But that does bring in the likes of cheaper players at Man City that could get plenty of assists off of this guy. João Cancelo is the one that springs to mind if his price doesn't change too much. I think he might be a must-have, the type of balls that he can get into the box for this guy to put away. So that is it for this video. If you have enjoyed this video, please do get involved in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know your thoughts on Erling Haaland. I'd love to build a community this season just talking about FPL in the comments down below, and then maybe we can extend that to some other platform as well. So get involved. Hit that like button, subscribe, and that notification bell, because the Premier League and Fantasy Premier League content is going to start coming thick and fast. Now we're getting closer to that launch of the FPL website. I've been JNO. This has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.